Hello everyone, and take a good long look at the carpet. The lovely new carpet that's the reason that poor Barry is still armless and legless and still has a head. It doesn't have painted rivets in. Damn you, carpet. Damn you. Okay, yeah, as you've probably gathered from that, got a lovely new carpet, just been fitted, just got the work desk back. There was a lovely moment as I was taking the desk apart to move out the room for the carpet, where my central drawer, which contains all my juiciest and most dangerous glues and solvents and things, fell off, and the little ball bearings on the bracket fell everywhere. That was a joy. But anyway, it's done now. We've got a lovely new carpet for me to definitely not spill any paints on, and because we've not done any work with minis as promised, here is our book. Ooh, nearly showed it to you. It's a book from quite some time ago, around 1992. Some of you, it'll be the first time you've seen it. Some of you, it should bring back old memories. It is the Codex Imperialis from the second edition of Warhammer 40,000. Those of you wondering that do not know, when the second edition of Warhammer came out, Warhammer 40k, so first edition was Rogue Trader, this is the second edition, there weren't any army books out that were even vaguely compatible. Well, actually there just weren't any army books or codexes out at all. The rules that were around for different races were not compatible with the new system, and so what Games Workshop did, in a point of short-sighted catering for the fan base and not getting profit-minded, they did all the races that they either released or planned to release or thought they might release in the future in one single codex. And this is it, and it gives you an interesting window into one, what the world of 40k was like in second edition, and two, where it might have gone had things worked out a bit differently. So, really famous cover, which was also on the box. Pretty sure it's a John Blanche classic, although that said, the colours are quite vivid for him, aren't they? I'm not sure about that, but dead famous cover, Space Marines vs Orcs, which was the models you got in the kit. Some photos there, a Devastator squad, back when Devastators just put everything on their shoulder for safekeeping. Got some bolters on the shoulders, las cannons on the shoulders, some very jolly Khorne guys, and a very bizarre Khorne Dread there against some Deathwing. Some lovely, now this is definitely some John Blanche art, and this is fantastic. Rick Priestley and Andy Chambers. An intro fluff. The Emperor on his golden throne. I forget sometimes, but when I got this on my, I think it was 13th, I was 13 and I got it for Christmas. And this fluff just absolutely blew my mind. It was so doom-laden and grim, and it felt so grown up to a 13-year-old. So, a bit of fluff about the galaxy. A big, dramatic Empire shippy thing going off into the distance, fantastic. The solar system. Now we get to the Imperium. So, this is the layout, this is the structure of the Imperium. This is the hierarchy of who controls what. Younger people, or people who haven't been in the sort of same cryogenic time sleep as me, may forget that pre-Brack Library, when there's only White Dwarf, people were pretty starved of fluff. So things like this, a whole page describing each different section, each different functioning section of the Imperium, was like, whoa, it was mind-blowing. It was a proper resource to hold on to and treasure. Something about the High Lords of Terror there, who, it's implied in this text that they're maybe slightly corrupt, perhaps slightly less Machiavellian than they are in the current fluff. We get to Space Marines, the oldie list of founding chapters, fantastic. A bit about the physique, all those horrible bits of Space Marines that you don't hear about, spitting acid and and you won't be able to see that, I don't think. So I'll read it for you, because I'm kind and you know it's a video and it would be a very boring video if I didn't. Space Marines have an oolitic kidney, which can filter any harmful substances from their blood. Yep, That's why the Space Wolves need that one, guys. Primer, and then we get the actual rules for the minis, Space Marine rules. Now, there weren't, as you can see, points in this part of the Codex, but there was a separate supplement which came with the box, which for the life of me I can't find, and it wasn't like this, it wasn't a bound book, it was a stapled few sheets of A3, photocopying black and white, that did actually have points values for the minis. But back in the day when we got this, or certainly when I got this, there was less emphasis on fights being, or it seemed to me anyway, less emphasis on fights being matched accurately and more on scenarios. It was still something of a skirmish game. Scenarios, and as I'm warbling on, I'm just going to try and show you the art really. Scenarios didn't have to be fair or balanced, as in life often battles aren't fair or balanced, which is possibly much more of a hassle if you're in one of the unfair and unbalanced armies in real life than it is in a tabletop war game, but that's sort of beside the point. So no points values here. What was really lovely about this, and I do understand why Games Workshop don't do this now, because it denies them the juicy money which fuels the great hive brain in Nottingham, but once you bought this box set, which you had to because it was the only way of getting your hand on the 40k rules, once you got it, you could in theory buy pretty much any mini and at least get some best fit rules for them and a bit of an understanding of their place in the world through just this book. The Imperial Guardsman there, a lovely Catachan shooting something there, some Rough Riders, Halfling Snipers, Ogrins. I really want Ogrins. The more I look at that picture, because it's in the old Imperial Guard Codex too, the more I really, really want to go on eBay and buy some Ogrins. Do they still sell them on Fishing on Games Workshop? Anyway, excuse me. Penal troops, your Commissar. To the Inquisition, we've got the Inquisitor. Have you guys heard the rumour about an Inquisitor skirmish game coming out in October? That would be awesome. Grey Knights, yes, the Grey Knights there. Although this was before they decided to obviously slaughter Sisters of Battle mercilessly, so they were slightly less demented there, bless them. The Adeptus Arbites. We've got Judges and Arbitrators. I wonder why we don't do more of those nowadays. That's a really interesting bit of fluff. Anyway, Telepaths, your Psychers, the Ministorum. This was my favourite thing in the world to read for years, I think, whilst I was in the hobby. It was just so much dense fluff. Adeptus Sororitas, Preacher, Confessor, Servitors, Electro Priests, Tech Priests. If you wanted to start your Mars Tech Priests army, this would be a start, even now I think with some of the stats. Assassins, lovely. The Ministratum, if you wanted to play Warhammer Bureaucracy, you have D6 forms to fill out. Onto the Orcs. So, people go on about the fluff being too sort of Imperium centred now. Actually, no, to be fair, too Space Marine centred, which I can see. If you think about this much of the book is about the Imperium. I mean, this much is about the Space Marines in this book. Anyway, Orcs, who were back at this point the main enemies of the go-to bad guys of the 40k universe, much more so than Chaos is now. Orcs, a nice picture of some Orcs. Orc. With the sort of colourful OTT tone of 40k, you can probably understand actually why Orcs were such a go-to enemy. Runt Herders, Wretchin, I think you got about 2 billion of those in the box set. I'm about to run out of space, I think, on my camera now, so what I'm going to do is this is going to be one of my classiest transitions yet, and then we're going to carry on filming this in a second, okay? Grisnak stuck his head up over the lip of the gully. A bolter shell whined past his cheek. He ignored it and studied the scene. Yes, the bridge over that acid river was still there. Yes, the humans in red armour were still there too. That's a lovely bit of the written fluff from the book. There was the next page after that classy transition, and I wonder how many young men and women's GCSE papers were destroyed by mimicking fantastic Games Workshop pros. I think my course was barely escaped. Let's see what we've got next after the orcs. Orcs. Oh, yep, Eldar. At a lovely point before Dark Eldar, where even a twinkle in the priestly's eyes, or Jessica Twins. Bit of fluff about the Eldar. Picture the Eldar. Hungry Avatar Eldar. Samurai Scorpion Eldar. Yeah, I don't know much about the Eldar, so we're just going to show you the pictures and say the word Eldar. Eldar with mohawk thing, and someone is actually for some reason Lost Boys, perhaps. Exarchs, very shocked Eldar. Harlequins, mysteriously not with a picture of them, which is a shame because the Harlequins look awesome. Comes one of my favourite pages in the book now, though. It's the Squats. Before the mysterious accident that destroyed the Squats, there was so much a part of 40k lore. They were in Codex Imperialis. Picture of their war machines. Do we have a picture of a Squat? Some very, very troll slayery Squats there that happen to be holding guns. And then, there we go, a lovely Squat with a mechanical leg doing some shooting out a bolt gun. So yeah, proof the Squats did exist before the horrible incident. Ancestor Lords. And now we move on to Chaos. Oh, there's going to be so many skulls here. Skulls. Yep, Chaos always been a fan of skulls. More skulls, that thing is basically a skull. Can't see any skulls on that, but it looks like it could kind of be a skull. That's kind of a face, isn't it? Fleshhounds of Khorne, Bloodthirsters, Juggernauts. Now, unless the next page has Chaos Space Marines, I think I'm right in saying that there aren't any Chaos Space Marines listed. Because if you wanted to list them, you could obviously use the Space Marine stats. Isn't that a simple way of solving things? Beasts of Nurgle, horrible mother-in-law of Nurgle, Discs of Tzeentch, like Marty McFly there, Horrors of Tzeentch. I wonder, people with the latest Chaos Demons books, do you see any of these pictures still? Because they're pretty cool. The answer may well be yes, that wasn't sort of a mocking tone. That was a genuine question. Look at those demented eyes. Then we get on to... Oh no, we do get on to Chaos Space Marines, just to prove me wrong. Cheers, Codex Imperialis. Chaos Cultists, gone for so long but not forgotten, now back with the Dark Vengeance box. I've still got those to paint. That's quite a fact. Chaos Cultist. I hope he thinks about the cholesterol in his body, as well as rethinking his life choices with the cult worship. Beastmen! Is, I imagine, the sound they'd make. And finally, Tyranids. Hungry Tyranids, presumably because it was slightly before they F all the Squats. Gene Stealers, Gene Stealer Hybrids, Gene Stealer Patriarchs, the Leader, or as he's also known, Gene Stealer Magus. Gene Stealer's doing something not very nice to something. Let's not inquire too much about that one. Tyranid Warriors. And finally, the Carnifex. So that was Codex Imperialis. A lot of you will have noticed. Tau obviously didn't exist. Dark Eldar didn't exist. I'm sure there's more that I could think of, but my brain has gone blank. What else is there that didn't exist now? Obviously, all the different Space Marine chapters didn't exist. Strangely, Squats did exist. Here were some brightly coloured orcs. There were some slightly less brightly coloured, but no less barbaric Space Wolves, enjoying their spare liver and kidneys to all the beard looking effect they can. And our final picture, some lovely primary coloured Tyranids facing off against some lovely primary coloured Blood Angels. So, yeah, obviously not the most miniature orientated video I've done. and bizarrely one of the longest, so I hope you've enjoyed this, or just maybe allowed it to run on in the background as you've had to run off because your baked potatoes are overcooking and now they're steaming up the kitchen and you've forgotten to turn this off. Who knows? I don't. If I do know, I'll be back with another fantastic video, and hopefully poor Barry will be, actually probably a bit adventurous to say assembled. He'll be slightly more painted this time tomorrow. Take care everyone. Love you, bye.